Boom. Been a long week. Gonna be a lot less sketches tonight. I know it's not the reason you watch. You want to watch because you want to know what's poppin' and what ain't. You want to know what to go see and what not to go see. What to not waste your time on and to what live your life on. You know what I'm saying? I think you know what I'm saying. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Let's see. Aw. Just a moment. Take a little bit of chocolate. We'll get this party started. All right. Let's see. Y'all ready for this? Oh wait, that's not how the song goes. What am I talking about? The song goes a little different, but I can't remember how. Gonna have to pop over to a commercial real quick.
Self-Care Solutions, your solution to self-care. This is the app for meditation, so breathe in and out. Very good. Breathe in and breathe out. Excellent. Now, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Keep going. Breathe in. Breathe in.
I can't breathe
What?
in anymore.
What was that?
I can't breathe in anymore.
Yes, you can. Just breathe in. Yes, you can. Breathe in. Try eating the air. There you go. Eat it. Now, once you're done eating it, hold your breath for 17, 16.
Why are you starting so hot?
What? You made me lose my train of thought. I'll have to start over. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 2, 1, breathe out. Are you breathing out? I'm gonna have to start over. 17, 16.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hello and welcome back to Popcorn Poppin' live Saturdays at 11 because we had to change it because I have stuff to do on Sundays now. I don't like doing stuff on Sundays. I wanted my Sundays to just be with you guys, but instead it's doing other things. I am your host, Tired, and we are here with another episode of Popcorn Poppin' Live. If you do not know how the show works, let me go ahead and tell you how it works. All right? You don't have time to figure out which movie to stream, what show to binge, and whether you should go out to see this or that on the big screen. There's too much content in the world, and you can't be wasting your time. So let me be the time waster for you by watching all that looks vaguely interesting and advise you on what's poppin' and what ain't. Seems pretty easy, right? Well, it may be easier for you because you don't have to actually watch the things. But I put myself through some hell to make sure that you should or should not watch certain things. What did I watch? Well, certain things like our Spotlight films, Expend4bles and No One Will Save You, along with the Limelight shows, The Continental and Sex Education. But first, let's take some fan questions. Lucy Lawful from Austria asks, do you Halloween? I do indeed Halloween every October. I love that we're starting to celebrate a little early. Like, I was super against celebrating Christmas in November. I would rather you start to have the music and the delight of Christmas the day after Thanksgiving. However, this year I've noticed that there's been a spike in celebrating Halloween in September. Now, Popcorn Poppin' Live will not do that right now because it's already pretty late in September. But we will be beginning some spooky stuff next week. We're going to start introducing what movies actually terrified me growing up. Also, like, which are the best slashers. I don't know. I'm kind of toying around with a lot of things, but it'll be fun. I'll be focusing a little more on Popcorn Poppin', even though I have a sketch show coming up at the Planet Ant Theater the last 2 weekends of October. It's called Spooky Nights. Like Boogie Nights, but spooky. Next question. Daria Dingaling from Sing Sing asks, how much for feet pics? A fucking lot. It would cost a lot, Daria Dingaling from Sing Sing. So make sure to DM me and get your wallet ready. Or purse. Or wallet and purse. Cal Pencil from Mordovia asks, blue? Sure. Even red and black and orange too. And now let's get to some news. Meow. The Stranger Things stage show is going to be up in November at the West End, I believe. And it's a prequel series that takes place in the 50s. It centers on a younger David Harbour's character from Stranger Things and Winona Ryder's character from Stranger Things. Takes place in the 50s. I don't know, it could be good. I have a feeling that the play will be very popular, and then they're going to make a actual prequel Netflix series for it. I'm surprised that's not what this was. When I first heard about the news, I thought it was actually a Netflix series, but no, it's just for stage. It's very strange, but we'll see how that goes. I'm interested. What else am I interested in? Well, remembered last week when Drew Barrymore brought up that she was going to continue her talk show, bring it back from hiatus because a lot of other people are out of work that aren't writers, and how this strike affects not only the writers, but everyone, including, like, cameramen and people that have nothing to do with what's going on in the writer's strike. So she thought that it'd be a good idea to bring the show back, along with Jennifer Hudson's show and Real Time with Bill Maher and The Talk. And they were all coming back. And she sent an apology video like, I'm sorry that we're doing this. I'm sorry. And guess what? Yoink. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And the reason being, the day that she announced this and Bill Maher announced right after, and I'm wondering if he heard what she said and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to come back too. Because the exact same thing happened when she changed her mind. Bill Maher changed his mind, and Jennifer Hudson and everything. So I'm assuming the WGA actually got in contact with them, like, hey, hold on, we're working on a deal here. And the day you guys announced it was the day that the TV creators were supposed to meet with the AMPTP. I can't remember the acronym. There's so many acronyms to follow through. Anyways, these talk shows aren't coming back because we're waiting to hear about these new negotiations that took place. And speaking of which, deal or no deal? Because there's good news, perhaps, on the horizon. After a full day per deadline of negotiation between the WGA and AMPTP, I think I was right, the Guild's lawyers are reviewing what the studios call their best and final offer. We understand that the WGA is going over deal points, and we should have more clarity on Sunday. So we should be hearing some good news next week, which would be super dope. I hope that they're actually getting what they need to get, as opposed to just taking what they have to. And I mean, what the studio's saying, like, this is our best and final offer, I think that's bullshit. I think that they're definitely willing to negotiate more, but with the word on the horizon of Drew Barrymore, Bill Maher, Jennifer Hudson show, all these talk shows that are about to come back, despite these deals not being fully set, I think that gives them leverage to undercut actual good earnings that the WGA will actually get from this strike. In any case, I do want it to end. I don't want AI to change the way we look at film and television, and I think that it will. but I also don't want certain actors or creators to get fucked over on residuals. I do think that a lot of these people are going to be fine without their residuals, but there's also going to be a lot of people that aren't fine without these residuals because a huge show like Breaking Bad and people from that show aren't making money when it was such a huge show at the time when it was on Netflix. It's like Suits and those guys not getting money for it being incredibly way more popular now than it ever was before. So hopefully this deal will go through. Apparently we may know more by tomorrow. I think we'll know official word by Monday. And hopefully some things go into production. But if the WGA is like, no, we're not taking the deal, I foresee this going on another 2 weeks at least. But we'll see. What do I know? One thing I do know is Neil deGrasse Tyson used to think that Armageddon was the biggest violator of the natural law of physics. But now Halle Berry's Moonfall takes the cake, apparently. I don't know if you remember that movie. It came out in 2022. I think it was last year, the year before. It's basically about the moon crashing into Earth. It's a ridiculous movie. It was done by Roland Emmerich, who did Independence Day 2012. He does a lot of world disaster movies. But Neil deGrasse Tyson used to think that Michael Bay's Armageddon was the one that took the cake, and apparently it's Moonfall. You be the judge and watch Armageddon or Moonfall, both on Max right now. All right, that's it for news. So let's go over the batch real quick. Oh no. Okay, cool. Sorry, something weird happened with my computer there, even though no one's watching right now. So a lot of things I haven't watched this week, but I am in the process of watching that are currently on now or have just ended or are about to end. Those of things coming forward. So let's see what's been on. Ahsoka. Definitely watch this. A Jedi dropout, Ahsoka Tano tries to find Grand Admiral Thrawn before the First Order finds him first. She searches alongside Hera, Sabine, and Chopper to find Ezra and train Sabine to be a Jedi for some reason. The last episode was fairly good. 2 weeks ago, we had the Anakin and Ahsoka like flashback of them two together and them two fighting in the Clone Wars when she was a kid. That was so cool because we also saw like Captain Rex and some other shit. Anyways, that was a super dope episode. This episode goes back to the present of what's going on right now, and it's a little slow going. It is Sabine, and I don't know how much I should say. No one watches this, so I'll just say she finds Ezra. And is he dead? Is he alive? That I won't tell you. But I will tell you everything was lackluster about this past episode. We see Thrawn and Ezra, and it's like, oh, okay, you guys are here. That's about it. So Blaze asks, he hasn't watched any of the show yet because he wants to wait till the whole series is over, then he can binge watch it all. And he's like, you're making me nervous. You never come to work saying how much you loved the episodes. I do love this show, to be honest. I think it's very well executed. However, when you have someone like Dave Filoni who did shit like Rebels and Clone Wars and even The Bad Batch, they're all, because it's animation, they're faster. Like there's a lot more shit going on. And everything's slowed down in Ahsoka. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does make it like, all right, come on, we need more things to happen. But I'm just okay with being just okay. Because there's a lot of wrong they could have done with the show, and the only wrong that they've done was, in my eyes, more of a better thing to do to shape Sabine in a more of a three-dimensional character is training her to be a Jedi. You don't need to train her to be a Jedi, but in any case, it didn't ruin the show. And plus, they seem to be walking away from that more. And I hope that she goes, you know what? I don't need to be a Jedi, Ahsoka. I'm just going to be me, Sabine. We'll see how next week goes. I know that the show's going to get better, but it's not bad. But you can hear the thing in my voice of like, it's not the fucking greatest either. I am not disappointed. There's a but there. I don't know what it is. I love the show. It's a little slow. Just a little slow. but I'm okay with that. Keep doing what you're doing. Dreaming Will's Black, you can watch on Paramount Plus Fridays. I watched, actually, I didn't watch the new episodes that came out yesterday, but I'm 3 episodes in and I really dig it. It's very funny. You can check it out as well. It's about a British black film school dropout named Quabina, damn it, quits his job to get serious about making his movie. So, of course I'd like that. It's based on a miniseries in 2018. You can check it out, though, on Paramount Plus. The Changeling, I've only watched the first episode so far. I hope it gets better, but it is a fairy tale story about Apollo and Emma, who, when Emma mysteriously vanishes, Apollo finds himself on a death-defying odyssey through New York City he didn't know existed. And in the first episode, she hasn't disappeared yet, so I'm excited to get to the actual cool part, Ooh, Winning Time on Max. I didn't watch the season finale, but I did find out that it's the series finale. Sadly, season 3 will never be for Winning Time. I don't think they even gave a reason. I could tell they got a lot less production in season 2. It seems like they got less money to make season 2. Don't get me wrong, it didn't take away from it. It didn't make the show any worse, but I could tell they were a lot more excited about season 1 than they were about season 2. So when I found out they were going to cancel it, I wasn't too surprised either. But the show's really fucking good. I'm assuming ratings went down, but that's because we went over the best part of the story and we had Adam McKay directing, But I'm sad. I definitely wanted a season 3. And I still got to watch the series finale of Winning Time. Well, you can watch it right now on Max. It's definitely a poppin' show. You should watch the whole thing, even though it got canceled. Only Murders in the Building, Tuesdays on Hulu. Didn't watch the new episode, so nothing much to say about this. Breeders, Monday on FXX, is the final episode of one of my favorite shows that I think is highly underrated. It is a comedic look at marriage and family, starring Martin Freeman. And this past episode was so sad, man. I wanted to cry. They do something sad with Martin Freeman's parents' characters that I kind of saw coming, but I hate that it's happening. Anyways, it's a really good show. It's hilarious, but shit gets real sometimes. So you can be the judge by checking it out on Hulu. Reservation Dogs, final episode Tuesday on Hulu. I actually didn't watch last week, but I should catch up because the show's ending, guys. So if you haven't caught up yet, catch up on Hulu right now. This last season, as I've said before, it's been kind of lackluster, honestly. But there are still good enough gems for you to watch, Breeders, in any case. And finally in our batch is Futurama. The final episode of this first batch of new episodes is going to be on Monday. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. I read that. I'm still on Breeders. Final episode is on Hulu Monday. And this isn't the final episode of the new season. So when Hulu revived the show, they revived it for 20 episodes, 10 episodes that just aired, and then 10th episode airing Monday is the first batch, and the second batch will be next year. Not next month. It'll be next year. Like I said, I think the show will get better, and I'm actually a little happier as I did the research today. I forgot that they're coming out with 10 more episodes, so maybe this season will get better. I think it will, because the Christmas episode that centered on Zoidberg and Bender was actually really good. So I'm still a couple episodes behind, but judging by the titles, like the vaccine one and Zap gets canceled, I think that they still got some good episodes under the belt for this return. All right, that is it for the batch. Now, 20 minutes into the episode. Sorry it took so long, but we talked a lot about the news earlier. Now we're getting into what everyone wants to talk about, not that. Expend4bles 4. You don't want to talk about this. No one wants to see this. That's why no one's watching this right now. I have made a decision after watching this movie and a movie I'll mention later that I'm no longer going to go see movies that I know is going to suck, even though they should be fun. And I also don't want to have a show about shitting on anyone's art. Yeah, I'll call Expend4bles 4 art because, it's a movie. So you have to call it art. If you saw Expendables 1, 2, or 3, you know what you're getting in for. Old action heroes kicking ass, taking names, being violent, except for 3, because that was PG-13 for some reason. And, you know, it's all centered on Sylvester Stallone, and, like, you know, you're comfortable there. So there's a few indications that Sylvester Stallone is no longer the star of Expendables. For one, they gave you a huge hint with looking at the poster. Steven Seagal. I wish Steven Seagal was in these. Not that it would make it better at all. Jason Statham is actually standing in front of Sylvester Stallone. They mentioned years ago that they wanted to make a Christmas, which is Jason Statham's character's name, a Christmas spin-off film entitled A Christmas Story. Very dumb idea. Would have confused the fuck out of people. People be like, oh, they're making a new Christmas story with Jason Statham. Actually, that sounds pretty dope. What if they redid A Christmas Story, but have Jason Statham play the kid, or like the grown-up version of the kid? I'd watch the fuck out of that. Anyways, they wanted to do that, and instead they did this. Now, I see why they did this, because they, well, at least I thought so. I think they thought, no, if we call it Expendables 4, more people will go out to see it. When I watched the trailer, I thought the trailer was a good idea, where the beginning of it is Jason Statham and Megan Fox fighting and sexy wrestling throughout the house in what appears to be a Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibe movie. And instead it ends up being a trailer for Expendables 4, a movie that no one asked for. They're so old. They're so old. Like Expendables 1 through 3 was like, they're fun old. They can still, you know, work out and shit. But now, no. Like Dolph Lundgren, a friend from work, told me, he's older. He said that Dolph Lundgren has cancer now. So I was surprised to see that he had the exact same amount of screen time in this movie like he did in the others. But he's still so old. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that motherfucker can any of these motherfuckers can beat the shit out of me. But they're so old. Stop. There was even a scene where Jason Statham looked super old. I'm talking a lot of shit for a guy that they would absolutely crush me. But, you know, I mean, maybe not. Jason Statham would. But the rest of them, I'll just, you know, run briskly. Megan Fox, a very well-rounded female character in this film. She's an expendable that doesn't really do much except yell and scream like a crazy ex-girlfriend and break things and be sexy. She's sexy. She got a lot of plastic surgery done, but she's still really sexy. But I'm sure an old white guy wrote her character, and it wasn't good. She's not, it's whatever. You're not coming to see Expendables for like strong female characters, so I wasn't too surprised. There's a storyline where Stallone needs to get his ring, and he explains that he lost it in a card game. He murders that guy at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. That guy didn't deserve to be murdered. That's insane. You murdered that guy for a weird, twisted plot to find out who the bad guy was. And by the way, I thought it was going to be Megan Fox, so they gave me a good twist. But when you find out who it is, which I won't spoil it for you, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe she was the red herring actually, but it's not a good movie. I don't like being negative, but I sat through this movie, so I get to tell you, you don't need to go see it. Is it poppin'? It isn't poppin', so don't. I do recommend still watching Expendables 1 through 3, which you can watch on Peacock, I believe. So, and they're still all on Netflix right now, but I think 1 and 2 are leaving, but you can watch them all on Peacock. Watch those. Don't go see this. When it's streaming, you can watch it, but you're going to be watching a Jason Statham movie. Nothing wrong with that, but this is an expendable Jason Statham movie. It's just you don't want to see Jason Statham go save the Expendables, which is what this movie is. It doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's not fun. That's it. Here's a movie I absolutely recommend. No One Will Save You, starring Caitlin Dever. Let's look it up because I forgot to look it up myself before. Caitlin, excuse me. Caitlin Dever. She was in Booksmart and Justified. Really great actress. And this is an excellent role. Look at that poster. That's a badass poster, dude. And I fucked up on the white borders. It is a home invasion movie, but with aliens. And you would be like, yo, Tony, wouldn't you just call that an alien invasion movie? Not necessarily, because what's cool about this movie is it's shot kind of like in real time. And this girl has like the worst day of her life where aliens invade her, her home. So we don't know about her past. We figure out the past as it goes on, but she did something fucked up in her youth, and she's trying to live life in solitude because the small town that she grew up in don't like her. They hate her because of this thing that she did when she was younger that she feels a lot of regret for doing. And that's like the main thing that they keep revisiting. And I'm glad they kept revisiting that because it helps flesh out the character. But sometimes there is, specifically in the second half of the film, you're like, okay, let's move on from this, you know. But it's a great alien movie. Great alien movie. It was very different from how I thought it was going to be. I will say it ended up better than I thought. The second half, like I said, had some scenes that dragged out. And the thing that was interesting about the film is about 25 minutes in, a sheriff character is about to say something to the star, and then he goes, oh, never mind, fuck you, in his head. He doesn't say that out loud. In fact, there is no dialogue in this film, and I didn't realize that until that scene. I'm like, oh, shit, no one has really said anything. Like, there's a scene where she almost gets hit by a car, and you hear someone go, what the hell, you crazy bitch? He doesn't say that specifically, but he goes, hey, get out of the road or something. But there's no, like, dialogue in the movie, which is actually really, really cool. High praise. That's their, like, gimmick, but it's not something that they revolve around it. But that's something that I've seen, like, news sites and stuff say, like, this no dialogue horror movie. Don't see this. I kind of wish I didn't mention it. Don't see it thinking like, oh, I'm watching this new horror movie because there's no dialogue in it. Let's see if it's still scary. That's just something I find interesting that they did. Because if you can tell a pretty good story without dialogue, it draws the audience's eyes more. And hearing a thriller or a horror is scarier when you have no dialogue and you rely more on sound and you're just more in the moment. So yeah, this movie was really, really good. I really wish this came out in theaters. This is just like that Predator movie. What was it called? Prey. Just like Prey. They both should have been released in theaters. This was great. It is how they do the aliens. And if you see an alien in like a picture online or something, don't like say, oh, that's what it looks like. I'm not watching it, because they take the basic form of what we think aliens look like and they use that imagery, but they turn everything about that up to 11. The flying saucers, spoiler alert, look like flying saucers, but they're fucking cool. It's a really, really bold movie because there's a lot of things that they do in the film where you're like, oh shit, that's wild. And then they go further, and then they go further, and then they go further. So it was really, really good. You can't do this without a great female lead. So props to Caitlin. She was great in it. And the ending, I think, will be very divisive amongst folks, because I thought like the happiness part of it was purposeful, so I can't really complain about it, but it was a little too much. However, that final shot where the camera leads is like, and it says the end, you're like, wow, that's a weird ending, but that's pretty cool. It's a cool movie. It's a great, 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 like, no matter what you think of the movie, and this is something I love about horror films. It can be bad, it can be good. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some bad horror movies you're like, don't watch it. It's not fun bad. Even if you don't like this movie, I promise you there are things in this movie where you're going to be like, what the fuck? And that what the fuck moments, that series of what the fuck moments are totally worth watching this movie. Watch it on Hulu right now. I implore you. It is a great movie, and they should have been closer to Halloween. But as we said, Halloween is also in September. What else? This was the final nail in the coffin. I don't want to say anything negative about it, but I'm going to right now. There are some movies that make me think, maybe my A-list, I shouldn't be overly mean, but I'm already in it. Maybe I shouldn't pay for my A-list thing. Maybe I should start paying for movies one by one. Because I felt like I should have seen this movie because I get to see 3 movies for free a week. And this movie, I remembered that I saw the preview and I told myself after finishing that trailer, being like, I'm not going to go see that. And then time went on and I looked up what was coming out this weekend and this was on there. And I'm like, wait, it's a horror movie. Why wouldn't I want to go see that? Even if it's going to be bad, I should go see that. And on my way to the theater, I'm like, man, there is a reason why I didn't want to watch this, but whatever. It's a horror movie. And it's because in the trailer, there's this scene where someone is attacked with swing sets and it looked stupid in the trailer, but they showed like 0.2 seconds of it. When it happens in the movie, it looks a little creepier and scarier. Don't get me wrong. But I remembered when that scene happened, I'm like, oh yeah. And it happened so far because I'm sitting there, guys, and I'm like, I don't know. Now, I will say props to whoever made this because I think it was well made in the aspect of like most of the camera work. Some of the the ideas were very vanilla. Like scares that happen were nothing special, kind of. The movie never really surprises you. Definitely doesn't scare you. And I think it's a perfect horror movie for 5-year-olds. And that sounds really mean to this movie. But if you watch it, and it is PG-13 as well, but you can make good PG-13 horror and you can do it without violence. And I don't want to be too negative about this movie, but the reason like I'm kind of pissed off is because I really wish I didn't spend some of my Friday watching this movie. I should have left, but honestly, I should have not gone out and seen it. I should have trusted my gut. Lately, the movies that I thought were going to be bad have been bad. So, this Expend4bles 4, thank you very much for treating me to another lesson that I don't need to see all the movies for you guys because I need to live my life too. All right, we're past the 30-minute point, so let's get faster. Dumb Money is in select theaters right now. I actually saw this movie a few weeks ago for a special screening. If you're a Michigander, this is out right now in Imagine Theaters, and it's about the GameStop short stock market thing that happened during the pandemic. It's very interesting. It's like The Social Network. It's like the exact same thing as The Social Network, but not as like riveting. It's got a great cast: Paul Dano, Seth Rogen. It's even got Bucky for a little bit and Nick Offerman. America Ferrera was awesome in this film. She was probably my favorite part about it. And Pete Davidson and Paul Dano have the best chemistry. They play brothers, and you're like, that doesn't fit, and it's not supposed to. They argue, and their chemistry was like some of the best. Like, I hate you, no, I hate you too. Chemistry I've seen on screen. It was really good. This was one of my favorite Pete Davidson roles. Don't get me wrong, he still plays Pete Davidson, and it's not like he made me like feel emotions, but he's a good actor, guys. He can be really good if you give him the right tools. And I thought he did great in this film. Poppin' or not, this is Poppin'. I don't know if you should go see it in theaters because halfway through the movie, you're like, okay, can they just do the thing now? Like they just keep talking about it. Just do it already. And the whole movie is kind of thrilling. I'm like, dude, sell your stock. And yeah, check it out. There's still aspects of what this story is about that still confuse the fuck out of me, but definitely still worth watching. Maybe you'll understand it more. All right, Limelight shows. I know this came out last week, but I did finish The Other Black Girl on Hulu. You can watch the whole season. I finished it. It's great. There are a lot of aspects of it I didn't like, but I'm totally down for a season 2. I like where it's going. I've kind of seen this like storyline before, and I didn't like who the big bad villain was. I was like, oh, really? Well, okay. But it's still worth it. I recommend it to you. If you don't know what the show it's about the only black woman at a publishing company until there's a new employee. Guess what color she is? Check it out on Hulu. Sex Education has come back with their final season on Netflix. I did not have time to finish this, which is good, actually. That means I am living a life, because if I would have finished this show in 2 days, like I could back in the day, then that would show I really have no life. But, of course I do. And look at all the other fucking things I watched. Anyways, about 3 episodes into this new season, it's great. If you haven't watched this show before, I asked a few of my friends, like, hey, have you ever watched Sex Education? And everyone says, nah, I don't know. It looks kind of funny, but I never tried it. I think everyone should try this show. This season is a little more colorful than I'd like, where it's kind of like rolling. Like this new school that they're in is, it's very like inclusive and everything, which is, everything's great. I love it. Awesome. But, and it's kind of as a joke, but it does make me kind of hate like the youth a little bit. Like they're like, oh, this is our meditation room, and this is this room, and this is that room. Granted, don't get me wrong, I meditate. I'm all for like the new stuff of the new age and shit. But there's a lot of things about this school where you're like, this is, I hate the future. But again, it's on purpose, so that's not a dig against the show. Great series. It is about a kid, Asa Butterfield, who in high school, thank God they're in college now because they look old as hell. Look, Dr. Who looks old as fuck. That kid all the way to the left, he looks old as fuck now too. I mean, he always looked old though. Anyways, Gillian Anderson's son is in high school, and she is a sex therapist, and he decides to give free sex therapy to the teenagers in his school. A time, an age, a place, a thing where sex is all that's on your mind when you're a teenager. So what do? You talk to someone who has a parent that is a sex therapist. Great show. Check it out. The Continental. I loved this episode. Each episode's kind of like Sherlock, apparently. I hope they do seasons of this. But this episode is an hour and a half. I hope the next episode is an hour and a half. It's a 3-part event. Each Friday, and a new episode drops. And there's only been one so far, but in the world of John Wick, we find out how Winston acquired the Continental Hotel. Awesome, really cool vibe. This is directed by Albert Hughes, one of the Hughes brothers, who did Book of Eli. He's done other things like From Hell as well, but the reason I mentioned Book of Eli is because of the fights. And the style of Book of Eli, I think, is a little slept on. I like that movie a lot. But this, I want to call it a movie very badly because it's a full-length feature, but it does have a big cliffhanger. Great stuff. The opening scene's great. The music's great. The action's fantastic. The comedy is heightened and a little more silly, and I love it. I think it was kind of a risk, but it worked. Another thing that was a huge risk, though, was the cop character. So the thing that I loved about John Wick is that they never touched a person outside of this weird assassin world outside looking in. For instance, the cop character keeps trying to get into the Continental, and the police force is like, no, don't go in there. We're not supposed to go in there. There has never been a character where they've been interested in the world of John Wick. It's almost as if it's fourth wall breaking a little bit, because in the world of the John Wick films, there's not one character that doesn't know what's going on. Like even a cop that's called to the house or a paramedic or anything is like, hey, John, how's it going? Like they all know each other. They all know about the assassin world that they live in. However, this cop isn't aware of it, and she tries to be slick, and she's at the bar in the Continental and orders a drink, and she puts down cash, and everyone in the Continental lobby look at each other like, this bitch don't belong. And it's kind of cool. I was kind of nervous about them doing it, but it's interesting. I hope they don't go further than this show, because the ballerina spinoff film is supposed to be coming out next year, I believe. And I think that they'll hint at that at the end of the series. But anyways, I like this cop character. I like this show. I dig it a lot. Frankie's kind of useless. I know he's going to end up being a badass, but like, he can't fight for shit. But he couldn't do it in his old age either. So, you know, whatever. At least he scraps a little, but he loses every fight. He's pretty likable, though, this younger version of him. And yeah, Poppin for show. If you want to prep for this show, I would highly recommend watching John Wick 1 through 3 on Peacock and John Wick 4 on Stars, which you can get right now for $3 a month. I would recommend it. The owning John Wick 4 is recommended. I love John Wick 4. I love all the movies, but 4 may be my favorite action movie. All right, here are some coming attractions for next week. We will be talking, I will go see this begrudgingly, but the trailer was okay, even though they need to stop making these fucking movies. Thursday will be Saw X. I can't believe it either. Actually, I can't believe it. Don't lie. I will see The Creator, which stars John David Washington in a post-apocalyptic future where AI can control the world and he needs to save this like AI human hybrid or some shit. Very sci-fi. Doesn't look like my type of film, but I will see it for John David Washington. I think he picks very good projects. I think he's a really good actor. And this movie was directed by Gareth Edwards, who I'm like, about. I didn't love his Godzilla the first time I watched it. I didn't finish Monsters, and I really didn't like Rogue One. But Rogue One, any Star Wars film that's like, I don't know if this movie's good, which is most of them, is because there's too many cooks in the kitchen or not enough cooks in the kitchen. Like Force Awakens was J.J. Abrams planting seeds and walking away. Like, I want to know what this is going to grow. I want you to know what this is going to grow into. And Rogue One, I believe Tony Gilroy took over production for the last 25% of it. Yeah. Anyways, The Creator. This looks pretty good. I forgot to mention Saw X. I think it'll be popping enough for a new horror movie of the year. I don't think it's going to be necessarily good, but the trailer, it looks like not that bad. And some of these movies are better than others. I will say, for a series that goes on for 10 movies, this one isn't that bad. And I avoided it for a while until a couple years ago. But I think that this new movie will be popping enough. The Creator, I think The Creator is going to be a little more boring for me anyway. I think it's coming out at the perfect time where AI is a very heightened issue, which it fucking shouldn't be. We should just not do it. I'm sorry. I'm a man of movies, and there's so many movies that say AI is scary enough. Here's another one. I think it'll be popping overall. I think it's going to be very well made, and I think people are, the consensus will be it's popping, but I think I'm going to find it a little boring. The Kill Room is in select theaters Thursday. I don't know necessarily what this movie's about. I saw the trailer, and there's a lot of things going on. I wasn't very impressed, to be honest. Art, money laundering, complicated storyline. That's what I wrote for it. Does have Uma Thurman and Samuel L. Jackson. Joe Manganiello, or whatever that D&D nerd's name is. That's not a dig. That's a compliment, because I like D&D. Anyways, if you watch this trailer, it's called The Kill Room. What the fuck is the movie about? I don't know. I think it won't be popping. I think it's got too many ideas in the air. But I think it will be worth watching, if that makes sense. Because I like movies with I like these types of weird, like, scammy movie storylines where it's not executed that great, but it's like, ooh, the con is on type of thing. Another movie that's kind of similar to that I do think will be popping. It's a movie called Heist 88. I watched like 12 seconds of the trailer and I was like, I'm sold. I'm assuming it's about a heist that takes place in 1988. This premieres as a movie on Showtime Friday, and I believe it'll be released on Paramount Plus as well, because they have a deal to have those together. But it stars Courtney B. Vance and Keith David. Television-wise, very excited. Well, I'm trying to limit my excitement. It's the spin-off series Gen V, which is spun off of The Boys. I think we all want this, but we all need to be wary because this takes place. This centers on, I'm assuming, high schoolers, which means it's going to be I think it's going to be a very violent YA television show, which I'm like, I don't like YA, but I do trust Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Lately, they've been only making gold, so hopefully they'll keep doing it. We'll find out Friday on Prime. You can also watch The Boys on Prime. Wes Anderson Short Film Week, starting Wednesday on Netflix, is Roald Dahl's, I can never pronounce his name, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which stars Benedict Cumberbatch. Basically, Wes Anderson, along with Asteroid City, has also made 4 short films that are going to be releasing. One is going to be releasing Wednesday. That is The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar. On Thursday will be The Swan, which is also adapted by Dahl, and The Rat Catcher, which will be Friday, and Poison, which will be Saturday. They're all adaptations. They're all under 40 minutes long. I'm excited. I just hope that they make more sense than fucking Asteroid City. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can know now by going to, I think, Peacock. Because the first half of that movie, dude, I was like, this is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. And the second half of it, I'm like, ugh, what did you do, man? Anyways, Netflix Wednesday, these short films start. Finally, Castlevania Nocturne. I don't know how to pronounce it. But that is coming out Thursday. If you didn't watch Castlevania before, it's, I think, 3 seasons long. It's on Netflix. It's an anime series, but the first season's like 3 episodes. Second season's like 7. Third season's maybe like 8 or something. Great fucking show. I will watch the spinoff, but I'm not as excited, to be honest. That's it. All right, guys. As always, I'm going to promise you that the show's going to get better. I've been pretty depressed this week, but I think I'm bouncing back. I hope so, because it's been a long week, and I'm tired of being lazy, and I want to get back into making the show great. And we're on Saturday nights. Let's make it a Saturday night show, shall we? Like, subscribe, share. Tell me what you'd like. Tell me what you don't like. Suggest movies. Or tell me to fuck off. But don't tell me to die, because that would be pretty mean. Good night.